Hello, I'm coming towards the end of the League 2 ante-post research now. So I thought I'd share a few observations. Nothing conclusive at this stage, just a few patterns I suppose that have occurred to me, little interesting bits and pieces that are probably worth sharing now. Doesn't make a great deal of difference. And basically, the point to make on this is that this is, like I say, it's not conclusive. There's a lot of statistical information. It certainly doesn't involve any transfer news. I've not paid any attention to transfers yet. This is essentially just hit the pause button in the summer. Here's the summary of what happened last season. That's the approach I'm coming at it from. I'm looking at a summary of last season, deciding what I think is important moving forward for each club, what problems they need to solve, or what types of news might be relevant over the summer. And I think that's, just to throw in a little bit of the Myers-Briggs stuff and a bit of personality. We've all got strengths and weaknesses in our personalities. Me personally, I think if I had to say what one of my biggest strengths is, it's probably to be able to gain a perspective, to be able to hold several different perspectives in my mind at once. Retain a lot of information, not necessarily know what to do with it, but retain a lot of information and basically decide what's most relevant. Because not everything is relevant. Some teams that, it might be better to zoom out and take a perspective of the last 2 or 3 years to put where they're at now into context. Another team, it might be just what's happened in the last 3 months. Change of ownership, change of manager. Everything's a complete game changer, and what's gone before really doesn't matter anymore. So I think that's what I tend to get a good handle on straight away, is to be able to hold those so many different perspectives at once and then say, that's just introverted intuition, that's what it does, and then say, right, okay, this is the relevant sample, this is what we should be focusing on and paying most attention to. So with that in mind, something that's occurred to me, basically, a general pattern, is that last season, I don't think the standard at the top of League 2 was very good. I think there were some good teams towards the top of League 2 who on the day were could hit high standard, and even include teams like Colchester in that, who finished way down in 8th. Carlisle were set an excellent standard at one stage. But I mean, you look at that league table, I don't think Lincoln really got out of second gear at any stage in the season. I think it was a very frustrating campaign for Lincoln. It was more controlled than they had been previously. They used to be a bit more up and at them, and Danny Cowley decided to be a bit more controlled with his approach and not take as many risks attacking wise, and it resulted in a lot of draws at home and a lot of games that were really frustrating, sort of 1-1 draws and things like that, conceding late goals and never cutting loose hardly at any stage. Yet they finished the season on 85 points, not a particularly high total to win the title, in second gear all the way, and I think that set the tone. They were home and hosed with 2 or 3 games to go without having massively impressed. Then second on 79 points, which is a very low total for the team in second place. They had all sorts of problems. Still managed to get up. Everything that was going on behind the scenes there. Ryan Lowe's first season as a manager, yet managed to get them up on 79 points despite everything that was going on. The rest all had chances to nail down one of them automatic berths towards the end of the season. I think there was a real lack of mental strength for most of those teams at the top of the table. It was all a bit after you, Claude. Whenever the chance came up to to really seize the initiative and go and grab one of them automatic spots and make it yours. Everybody, virtually all those teams, MK Dons, Mansfield, Colchester, Forest Green, Tranmere, they've all found themselves in a position to really go and take an automatic place by the scruff of the neck. And when presented with that chance, they've not taken it. And in the end, it's ended up a crawl to the finish line. Bury going up on 76 points. 2 teams going down to a final day battle. I mean, even in the case of Mansfield, 88 minutes to try and find an equaliser at MK Dons on the final day. So an awful lot of time. And I think that just set the tone for the whole of the division. So I'm not entirely sure what the record is of teams relegated from League One being promoted. I don't think it's that special. I don't think too many of them do get promoted, but I think the teams that have come down this season do look particularly strong, in so much that Scunthorpe, Bradford can both be kind of written off as bad seasons, whereas in the overall context they've been very strong League One clubs in recent years. They've both had particularly bad seasons. Everything that, you know, they've kind of been the architects of their own downfall in different ways, but they've kind of hit the reset button now. But they've both appointed very good new managers in the summer. Well, Gary Bowyer came in just before the summer, but he's more than capable of getting promotion in one season at Bradford. And then you've got Paul Hurst, who, you know, now in charge at Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe have been in and around the playoffs for 3 successive seasons, and then just got it badly wrong last season. And you know, so there's 2 strong clubs there straight away. Throw in Walsall with Darrell Clark. I'm not sure Walsall can necessarily compete at the same level with, you know, budgetary wise with Bradford and Scunthorpe, but you know, Darrell Clark's at least a mid-table League One manager. Gary Bowyer's at least a mid-table League One manager, and Paul Hurst has obviously proven himself to be a top half League One manager who didn't quite cut it in the Championship with what time he had at Ipswich. So, you know, I would expect those 3 clubs to be very strong, and you can say pretty much the same thing for Plymouth as well. Where Plymouth are concerned, you know, we're just talking about Ryan Lowe getting promotion with Bury in his first season as a manager. He'll be better off for that first season now. He will, you know, all that experience, and then this time he's got a budget. And when he was asked about the budget in, you know, his unveiling interviews at Home Park, he basically, a smile came to his face straight away, as if to say, this is a different world to what I've just come to, you know. So he's very pleased with what he's got to work with there. So I would expect all 4 relegated teams to cope with the drop, you know, particularly well. I don't expect it to be a massive hangover. I think they've all changed managers relatively quickly, so there's, you know, it's not like there's too much hangover. I think they can all do enough business. I think the new managers can stamp down a new identity, and I don't think there's a huge gap between League One and League Two in general, but in the case of this, I think it was towards the top end of League Two. Wasn't particularly special last year, and the 3 or 4 teams who come down are probably League One clubs in essence. So I would expect a strong show from all them teams, more so than previous years. I know they're always regularly towards the top of the betting, the teams that have just come down, but I usually tend to look to take them on. I usually get quite excited about the prospect of taking them all on. But this season not so much. I think they'll all be strong. So that's about it really. I you know, not a lot else to say about the teams that remain from last season. I don't think my opinion's changed too much on anybody, or is likely to change too much on anybody who followed the service last season. We'll see what comes up with the transfers and maybe make some adjustments then. But right now, that's my biggest number 1 observation of League Two as it stands, without considering transfers. Okay, speak to you soon.